Kyle Busch has not won a race in 101 starts. His old teammate Denny Hamlin got on his podcast and said exactly what everyone was thinking, but nobody wanted to say out loud. And when Busch found out, he did not call Hamlin privately. He did not let it go. He walked straight in front of a camera and told the entire world what he was about to do to Hamlin on the racetrack. What Hamlin did next made it even worse. Let's go back to where this started. Denny Hamlin has a podcast called Actions Detrimental. Every week, he gives his honest take on NASCAR. No filter, no sugarcoating. That is literally why people listen. Last week, the subject came up: Kyle Busch and his struggles at Richard Childress Racing. Now here is what you need to understand before we get into what Hamlin said. Kyle Busch is a two-time Cup Series champion. He won titles in 2015 and 2019. He is widely considered one of the most talented drivers to ever sit in a NASCAR race car. His career win total puts him among the all-time greats, but something has gone very wrong. Busch has not won a single Cup Series race in 101 straight starts. 101 races. That is a career-long winless streak. For context, that is not a slump. That is years of losing. And Hamlin on his podcast decided to say exactly what he saw. Hamlin did not just say Busch was struggling right now. He said Busch has been struggling for 5 years. 5 years. He said a driver of Busch's ability should be able to find a way to get the best out of his race car, that no matter the equipment, no matter the team, a guy like Kyle Busch should be finding results. Then Hamlin went further. He told his listeners, if you're expecting Kyle Busch to just go back to victory lane on a regular basis, you're kidding yourselves and you're going to be very disappointed. He said something has to change, but admitted he did not know what. He was not his crew chief. He was not his engineer. He was not his team owner. His words: I'm just a podcaster that happens to be on the racetrack around him, and I can just say that it's just not working. That was the podcast. That was what set everything off. Now here is where it gets real. Kyle Busch found out what Hamlin said, and instead of letting it go, instead of staying quiet ahead of a race weekend, Busch walked in front of cameras at Kansas Speedway on Saturday and unloaded. He started with a direct challenge. He told reporters that if Hamlin wants to switch cars, he will switch cars, any day of the week, any time. He said he would love to see Hamlin try to carry the car better than he has. But then he went somewhere nobody expected. Busch said, I can certainly make his life hell. Read that again? A Cup Series driver the day before a race publicly threatened to wreck or block or punish another driver on the track. That is what make his life hell means in NASCAR. It means I will make your Sunday miserable every single time we are near each other. Busch also said that 80% of the people talking about his situation do not know what they are talking about, and he put Hamlin in that same category, saying Hamlin does not know what he is talking about either. He can bash me all he wants, Busch said. I can certainly make his life hell. That is a direct, on-record threat from one active NASCAR driver to another. So now we have Hamlin's honest podcast take on one side and Busch's very real anger on the other side. This is the moment where most feuds blow up into something bigger. But here is what happened next that almost nobody is talking about. Hamlin responded on social media first, but it was what he said live on FOX Sports NASCAR race day on Sunday morning that told the full story. Hamlin did not back down, but he also did not escalate. He acknowledged that yes, Busch could make his life hard on the track. No matter where you run, there's ways, Hamlin said. He was not pretending the threat meant nothing. But then he explained exactly why he said what he said on the podcast. He told the FOX audience that when the subject of Kyle Busch came up, he sat there and asked himself how he was going to handle it. Because there are two things pulling at him at the same time. First, he owes honesty to the people who listen to his podcast. That is the whole reason they tune in. But second, he has to get in a race car and share the same track as the guy he is talking about. He said he felt like he was being gentle. He said he tried to spread the blame around because he believes there is enough blame to go around on multiple sides, including the team and the equipment. But then Hamlin said something that reframes this entire story. He told the world that Kyle Busch was the best teammate he ever had. Not one of the best. The best. By far. He said the reason he is even decent on mile-and-a-half tracks today is because of Kyle Busch. Busch taught him more than any other driver he ever shared a garage with at Joe Gibbs Racing. And then he said this: I'm rooting for him because the sport needs the old Kyle Busch. Remember what Busch said about making his life hell? Keep that in mind, because what comes next makes that threat hit differently. Think about what is actually happening here.
nice little Sunday night, but kids got schools and stuff like that. There's just so much that plays into it. You know what? Just be really, really good at your sport. And
Hamlin is not some outsider taking shots at a competitor. He is a guy who sat next to Busch in the JGR garage and watched him up close. He watched how Busch worked, how Busch thought about cars, how Busch pushed everyone around him to be better. When Hamlin says Busch has been struggling for 5 years, he is not reading a stat sheet. He is saying he knows what peak Kyle Busch looks like, and this is not it. That is a completely different kind of criticism. That is not a rival celebrating a fall. That is a former teammate watching someone he respects fall short of what he knows they are capable of. And from Busch's side, think about what 101 races without a win feels like when you are a 2-time champion, when people knew you as one of the most dominant drivers on the track for over a decade. Every single week, someone new brings it up. Every single week, a new headline. And now your old teammate is telling his podcast audience that you have been struggling for 5 years and probably will not be winning anytime soon. Of course, Busch is angry, but here is the thing that makes this situation more complicated than it looks on the surface. Busch said Hamlin does not know what he is talking about. But Hamlin just admitted on live television that Busch is the reason he became good on the tracks where Busch is currently failing. That is not something a person who does not know what he is talking about could teach you. So which is it? Was Hamlin wrong to say what he said, or was he the one person honest enough to say what everybody else already knew? Here is where you need to pay attention going forward. Busch made a public threat on camera. Hamlin acknowledged on FOX that the threat was real and that Busch has the ability to make his Sundays miserable. These two men are going to be on the same racetrack every single week for the rest of this season. Every time Busch and Hamlin are running close to each other, every bump, every block, every tight battle for position, the entire NASCAR world is going to be watching and asking the same question: is this the moment Busch follows through? And Hamlin knows it. He basically said as much. He called it a tightrope. One wrong step, and this goes from a podcast conversation to a full-on incident on the track. So let's come back to where we started. Kyle Busch threatened Denny Hamlin on live television. That part is true, but the full picture is messier than that headline. Hamlin said something honest, something his own track record actually backs up. Busch reacted the way any proud competitor with a 101 race losing streak would react, and Hamlin responded not with more shots, but with genuine respect for a guy he says made him a better driver. The threat is real. The anger is real. The respect is also real. And the next time these two line up on the same track, every single one of those things is going to be real at the exact same time. That is what makes this worth watching.
nice little Sunday night, but kids got schools and stuff like that. There's just so much that plays into it. You know what? Just be really, really good at your sport, and